Okay, I have another question from Zoe, and it looks like this is going to be our last one. Zoe from Pennsylvania. Hi, are you able to hear me?
Yeah. Hi.
Perfect. Hi, Zoe. I'm glad we can have a chat here. How can I help you today?
Yeah. So my question was, how do I know what God wants for me? Because I'm applying to college soon and I have this dream school. This dream college is a college I've wanted to go to for years. But at church, I also learned that I should also seek God's will for me, what He wants me to do. But the thing is, I've been praying about this college for years. And now suddenly I started asking, okay, God, what college do you want me to go to? But I don't feel like I've gotten any answer, which is something I also struggle with. I feel I don't hear from God. I hear all these people that say God spoke to them through dreams or visions, but I don't hear anything. And I've been praying about it. So, and I don't want to walk into this blindly because I don't want to apply to a school that God doesn't want me to go to and get rejected because I just end up wasting my time. So, how do I know what God wants from me? How do I hear Him speak to me? How do I even know if He's speaking to me? But maybe I'm just not, what's the word? I'm just not focused. I'm just not listening.
Hmm. So I actually just sorry. I actually just got a I was talking to God about this. Um his will is very it's interesting. Here, I'll actually show you. It's in my journal. Um, but I had this kind of illustration that kind of popped up in my mind. Here we go. It's going to look like nonsense to you, but I'll kind of explain it. But I want you to kind of look where it says us. Do you see this where it says us right here? It might be reversed for you, but there's us right here. Do you see that, Zoe? Okay.
Um, sorry, let me see.
You have to look on the let's see, the on YouTube, on the stream itself. Is that on YouTube? Do you see it?
Okay.
Okay, hold on. Okay, so I'll just explain it to you then. But the way that I find that God's will works sometimes is we don't know what it is, but we take a step forward anyway, dedicating our steps to God, especially if He doesn't say anything. And then as you take a step into it, either a door closes or it ends up getting blessed. And now it was actually God's will. And now it's kind of locked into God's will. I'll give you an example. There was a time when I was asked to teach at a church, and I didn't know if it was God's will, but I took a step of faith. And as I took a step of faith, I got invited again to teach at that church. And I still didn't know fully if it was God's will, but I did my best to give it to God. And so I gave it to God, kept on doing it. Fast forward, I taught at that church for over 10 years, once a month for their main service. Looking hindsight now, because I don't do that because now I live in Japan, and that church was in California. Looking hindsight, I knew that it was God's will and that God used it as a platform for me to learn and grow in my ability to teach and my ability to lead. So, did I have this divine revelation saying, Miles, you must do this thing? No, I took a step of faith and I dedicated my steps to God. So, for you, when it comes to you getting accepted to your dream college, that's super cool. I think a lot of times God gives us the things that we want. And I think that's super encouraging. Like, I am so thankful God has given me everything that I've wanted and have essentially needed in my life. And a lot of those things I didn't even ask for, but I knew that I wanted it and I got it. For you, like, there was a time when I was this close to joining law enforcement, very, very close. And
Oh,
I remember asking God, God, I'm going to do this. I've been getting a lot of quietness from you, but I'm going to move forward and I'm going to pursue law enforcement. Let me know by this day if you don't want me to do it. And later on that day, God
mhm.
gave me a very clear confirmation, because that was the day that my ex at the time asked for a break. And she said, I don't want to do this relationship anymore. Essentially, I need a break. And I had the epiphany that I do not want to be in law enforcement if it meant that, like, if our relationship was over. So God gave me kind of greater clarity. So for you, understand that you don't need to always have a clear answer in order to move forward in something. Talk to God about it. Say, hey, God, can you give me more insight? Give me more wisdom. Sometimes God doesn't say anything. And if he doesn't say anything, then dedicate your steps to God and say, God, I'm going to go to this college. Let me know if it should change, but I'm going to give you my education here. I think it's super cool that you got into this dream college. I think that's a blessing, you know? And so I would just say dedicate it to God. Dedicate it to God. Give him space to talk to you. Like, I would even maybe even say, hey, God, do you want me to do this college? And like, give it, like, pray seriously about it for, I don't know, maybe a week. And then after that period, then you move on. And then you're like, okay, well, you didn't say anything, so I'm just going to move forward. Um, because I think, personally, off the top of my head, I think you should do it. Go to your dream college if God doesn't say anything, but I might be wrong. Okay. I'm not saying you just do it, you know. But I would say God's will comes from taking steps of faith. And as you take steps of faith, as you look behind you, you're like, oh, that was God's will, you know? And here's the thing, if you take a step in the quote unquote wrong direction, God's not going to get upset with you and be like, how dare you? Especially after you prayed for it. God will redirect you. You know,
Mhm.
God will guide you. So as you just dedicate your steps to him, as you move forward, as you move in faith, I think in time, as you look behind you, you'll be like, oh yeah, God was a part of it. Does that kind of help you out a little bit, Zoe?
Yeah, it does. Well, the thing is, I said that I haven't actually gotten into college yet. I haven't even applied yet. But the
Oh,
thing is, I'm
okay.
someone that doesn't really like rejection. Yeah, so I'm just saying that I don't want to apply and I get rejected from this college. And I just feel, because if I get rejected and I just assume, okay, it wasn't God's will, but I just feel, why make me why make me apply to my dream school if I'm not going to get in? Like, then I just feel embarrassed. I just feel sad and everything. So that's what I'm just
Hold
trying to
on.
avoid. And even regarding my situation now, because
Okay. So hold on really fast.
yeah,
Now I have to add something very important. You said, why would God have me apply to a college that I know I'll be rejected in? That, I'm sorry, but
no,
sometimes God
if I'll be
does.
rejected.
Yes, if you will be rejected. And I will say that sometimes, yes, that happens. And the reason why is to teach you and to give you a lesson that is only in that path. I truly believe that God called me to train to be a firefighter. I never became a firefighter, just so you know. But I know that God called me to do that path so that I can learn very specific lessons as I went through that path. I truly also believe that God called me to go out with what I talked before about my ex-girlfriend. I was never called to marry her. God called me to learn love. God called me to lead. And on top of that, he taught me to have a broken heart. And now I am more equipped. She made me more equipped to fully love my wife. So, the wife that I have today. So, all that to say, God might actually have you get accepted, so you might let it go. I don't know. I'm not saying that that's what he's going to do, but what I am saying is sometimes God does lead you to something so that you can learn a very particular lesson, and then after you've learned that lesson, you move on. So, don't put God in a box where it's like, okay, well, I'm not going to do it if it's not God's will. It might be God's will for you to do it so you can learn something and then do something else. So you're just like, you're saying like, oh, I might be embarrassed or I might get really sad. Like, I know somebody who worked really, really hard to be a pharmacist, and it took years for them to pass the test. And they told me that it was God's will. God used that time of not passing the test, not passing the test, not passing the test to teach them endurance. And at the very, very end, years later, they passed the test. So sometimes God does allow us to struggle so that he can
Yeah.
teach us very specific lessons. Okay. But all that to say, how do you know what God wants for you? You take steps of faith, you dedicate your steps, you pray to the Lord, you are in his word, and you are open to what it is that he might be telling you. Um, so yes, I hope that helps, Zoe. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. But just want to know, how do I know if he's speaking to me? Because I really want to hear him. I want him to say something, at least, so I don't just feel like, because it is kind of annoying personally to me when I do pray and I ask God to speak to me and I just don't hear anything. And suddenly I start seeing messages on YouTube about people talking about how they've spoken to God. So it just feels like torment because I didn't get these things before. But suddenly I start asking God, speak to me, and I'm seeing other people that claim that he has spoken to them. So it just feels, I don't know.
Okay. Honestly, it comes through time. And this is kind of where we have to wrap up. Um,
Yeah.
how do you know God specifically talks to you? It's like growing a plant. You won't always see things right away, and you won't always see fruit right away. As you give water, as you give sunshine to a plant, in months, then it starts to actually sprout. And then you'll finally be able to see growth. But if you're just staring at the dirt, you're like, I'm doing all these things. Okay. There's a link that we posted
Yeah.
that should help you. Joseph, what was that video that you posted? How to hear God's voice. Perfect. Yes, we made a video on that. I would encourage you to check out that video because it's how I also hear
Mhm.
God's voice. Okay.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay. You're welcome, Zoe.